Hello and welcome to the St. James Theater. Thank you all for joining us as we celebrate the life of our dear friend Gavin Creel. At this time, please turn off all cell phones. We ask that you do not take any photos or video throughout the service. Once again, we ask that you do not take any photos or videos throughout the service. Once again, thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Heather, and this is Allison, and we are Gavin's sisters. And aren't we lucky? And aren't you jealous? Before we start, I want to make a couple of things clear. I want to make sure that you know that we will not be singing. A long time ago, Gavin dubbed us filler voices. So we're not going to sing.
No.
No. And we're also not going to act or dance. Because usually our comfort zone is down there or up there in a chair, warm in that chair, while a bunch of you guys are up here doing your thing. So we're gonna refrain from those things. But we're here today, along with our amazing parents who are so strong. Don't look at them. And we're here to welcome you to this celebration of the love and life of Gavin. There are a lot of people in the room and other places, and like I said, we're not used to being up here, so I know we've got family, lots of family out there. We've got friends, neighbors. We have people from the organizations that Gavin believed in and belonged to and supported. And we certainly have the magnificent, magical Broadway community who has supported him all of these years. And there are people also, I think, along with all of us, out there at another theater, maybe? And like overflow, we're like, no, we won't fill a theater, and there's overflow, and people are streaming online, and it's just amazing. So I'd like to say that tonight is going to be both joyful, and there's going to be some sorrow. It's going to have both tears and laughter, and it's going to have excitement and quiet, because Gavin believed in that word, both, and the meaning behind it.
Writing and meditation were an integral part of Gavin's daily practice, and he passionately protected time in his day to do both of those things. They provided him with, among other things, time for introspection, self-reflection, calm, peace, acceptance, and a connection to something bigger. We were privileged to see much of the result of this in his musical Walk On Through. In thinking about today, I think he would like it if we took time now together here today to be still and reflective. If you would like to participate, I invite you to close your eyes. Or if you feel more comfortable, just soften your gaze. Notice the quality of your breath. Is it smooth, shallow, jagged, tight? Just notice it. There's nothing you need to change. I encourage you to pay attention to how your body is experiencing this space in this moment right now. Perhaps notice where the chair is in contact with your back and where your back is in contact with the chair. Notice your breath as it moves in and out through your nostrils, not looking to change anything about it, just noticing the sensation and the parts of your body that move with your breath. And so, with this awareness, I would like to share with you an Irish blessing by John O'Donohue, and I invite you to reflect on his words as we sit together in community. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the currach of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of the light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And may a slow wind wind these words of love around you in an invisible cloak to mind your life. Thank you.
Oh, I get it back. So before we begin, we'd like to thank everyone who made this amazing celebration possible. And we'd like to reach out to everyone who is here in this moment, present with us for the next hour or so. We'd like to reach out to them in Findlay, Ohio, and in Ann Arbor at the U of M, and everyone here. And we humbly invite you to walk on through this night of celebration with us. And we leave you with one word: Gav.
Gav.
Good afternoon. My name is Alan Renee Lewis, and I am the Artistic Director of the Broadway Inspirational Voices. It is an honor for us to be here today to celebrate the life of our brother and friend. Today we will be singing Sunday from Sunday in the Park with George. This song is the last song that Gavin sung alongside his BIV family in 2020 in a pop-up performance as we brought hope to the community during the shutdown. Before we sing, I'd like to share a few words from our founder, Michael McElroy. Gavin was a member of BIV for over 20 years. When he wasn't actively singing in the choir, he was supporting the choir in every way possible. He believed in BIV's mission, and with his talent, financial support, passion, and time, he committed to ensuring BIV continued to thrive and grow. So many in our community carry the hurt and harms of not being accepted in religious spaces. Gavin understood the importance of a spiritual space that was open to all. He knew an open door where all could come and be healed through the true message of gospel music, love, acceptance, and joy. We will miss Gavin's talent, commitment to the choir and community, but mostly his light. Gavin brought light into every space. We will hold his memory in our hearts and never forget the light he brought to us all. Thank you.
Well, that was fine. Okay. Thank you. I've done nothing yet. My name is Sarah Bareilles, and thank you, yes. And I, like the other 1,700 people here in this room, was Gavin's closest friend. This day has loomed so large, and as much as I have been looking forward to being here with all of you, I have also been dreading it. I'm not a crier, I don't know why this is happening. It carries with it a sort of declaration of finality that I'm not really ready for, but here we are. And I want to just quickly say that we are here because a team of wonderful people stepped forward and said, how can I help? What can I do? Many are listed in our program, but it was a colossal effort, and we're so grateful for the contributions of so many. A few I just want to mention in particular have shouldered a lot, so we would really not be here without them. So thank you to Nicole Castrinos, Teddy Bergman, Devin Cadell, and Cody Renard Richard. And I'm going to begin with a grand statement of failure. Y'all, this is not going to be it. I can assure you with utter certainty that this will not feel like enough. This day, this offering, all of it is going to feel profoundly inadequate, because it is. Because it is impossible to imagine any scenario that we could create in Gavin's absence that could even come close to capturing the breadth and magnitude of his presence. That man did not fit inside this room when he was in a body. So no chance of it now. I grew up Catholic, which means I'm no longer a religious person. But I can't help but think of a short piece of scripture that says, "For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them." I shared Gavin's complicated views on religion and spirituality, but as we gather in his name, I know Gavin is here too, and I specifically asked him to haunt me, so if anything weird happens, it's mine. So I did a tarot card reading a few days after Gavin passed. I'm a witch now. I sat in my meditation chair at my house in Brooklyn, and the sun was shining, streaming through the window, and I was speaking to Gavin, and I shuffled the cards and said, "Gavin, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to know?" I touched every card in the deck as I laid them out. I just kept asking that question over and over again. What do you want me to know? I pulled 3 cards, past, present, and future. The first card I pulled was upside down, so it looked like this rainbow-colored ancient oak tree with this network of multicolored branches. I realized it was upside down, and I flipped it over and saw it was actually a giant redwood tree with this massive, colorful root system. And this card is about joy, childhood, family, connection. It felt like Gavin's essential spirit. The joyful one, the childlike one, the connector. The second card I pulled was the Chariot. It's a beautiful sketch of a horse facing forward, and it represents righteous deliverance, holy transition into truth, a card of one's becoming. I sobbed as it felt like it was naming the fact that Gavin was somewhere else now. But it was soothing and comforting to see because it was so beautiful and because I was really nailing this tarot card reading. The third card I pulled was meant for the future. Where do we go from here? I turned the card over, and it was a pile of worms and eyeballs and swords sticking out of them and like blood and just awful. It's a card about anguish and despair, loss and devastation. I was like, okay. If I'm honest, it really scared me. Gavin, are you telling me I'm gonna go into another clinical depression? Is the election not gonna go our way? So I asked for clarification in another card. Gavin, what does this mean? Help me understand. What do you want me to know? The clarifying card was another pile of fucking dead things with like sticks and scribbles, depression, fear, hopelessness, defeat. I sat with it for a little while but couldn't make sense of it, except that I felt scared, like something bad was coming. And the worst possible thing had already happened. I called Celia, as I do most days, one of the greatest blessings to have come into my life because of Gavin. I've never once been let down by her wisdom or her ability to synthesize the world and make sense of it. So for sure she wasn't gonna be stumped by a fucking tarot card deck I got at Urban Outfitters. Everyone should be so lucky as to have a Celia, but they are as rare as a Gavin. She listened thoughtfully as I told her the story of pulling the cards, and then she said so plainly, I think he wants you to remember his darkness. And it clicked. Of course. It is so easy to canonize this man, Saint Gavin. So tempting to only remember and bathe in his fluorescent colored joy and buzzing neon spirit, his wandering childlike wonder, his optimism, his hope, his humor, his giant arms ready to forever long, ready to wrap around you and lift you up and love you into your best and happiest self. He is deserving of being remembered that way. He is all of those things. But Gavin, like the rest of us, was also his demons. He had a tremendous capacity for joy and pleasure, which meant he had a tremendous capacity for despair and anguish, for anxiety, for depression, for fear. His darkness is one of the reasons I loved him so much. I bet everyone who felt close to Gavin, which is probably all of you, aside from the few that think this still is a Sunset Boulevard matinee. It is not. She's not coming. If you were close to him, you knew that Gavin was not afraid of your darkness. Or your sadness, or your jealousy, or your pettiness, or your ugliness, or your fear. He would pick up pints of ice cream and put up Christmas lights and sit in the muck with you. This is when he was still eating sugar. He would welcome it in to get close and curious and try to understand it, and above everything else, remind you that you were not alone in any of it. Gavin deeply struggled with his own loneliness and fear, and it was not in spite of these parts of himself, but because of them, that he was able to show up wholeheartedly to remind us how worthy we are of love, not only in our joy, but in our sorrow too. We get to be both. Darkness and light, despair and hope. We just have to try and be true. He was perfectly imperfect, a whole complicated person who shone the great supernova of his love on so many people. Not because it was a cloudless sky in there, but because he was full of storms and weather and the truth of being human. And he recognized it in you, and he loved you for it. And he knew it was a privilege to see it at all. Future card, where do we go from here? In his absence, in his name, we might remember to just keep showing up. Again and again, bearing witness to the darkest parts of each other and ourselves, and just love them. Because most of the time, that's more than enough. I love you, Gavin.
Started with a hallelujah and amen. Born into my parents' glory, blessed Midwestern sun, and then I grew up through my life singing hallelujahs from my soul. Church and school with hard work bringing straight A's home, that was the goal. Hallelujah on a roll. I kept busy in my free time with odd jobs that I would do, mowing lawns and babysitting. I was a good swimmer too. All the while I'd hallelujah sing my songs throughout the day. Loved my friends and dogs and neighbors, but not girls, not in that way. Hallelujah, I was gay. Then one day when I was singing, something whispered in my ear, there is more that's out there for you, but you'll never find it here. I hear your stories, and I know your lessons well. In you lies salvation, the Gospels foretell. Son of the Father, light of the earth. They say if I follow, I'll find my rebirth. But here now I question, though strong is my will, am I to be lonely if I can't fulfill all that you require and ask me to say? Lord, if I can't, will you turn me away? 'Cause you hold an unfinished world in your hand, but they say thy will is all done. Soon they will go to your promised land, but I'm not a welcome one. They say not you, my son, made in your image. Yes, I am said to be. Well, if this is true, Lord, then you should know me. And my heart is holy, and my love is true. For this is the way I was made by you. unfinished world in your hand. Within it, I'm trying to grow. And I want to follow and understand, but they tell me I'll never know that only the saved ones can go. Who I am, who I'll always be, who I'm trying to find each day, is just a man wading through mystery, just flailing toward the light in my own way. Now, in this moment, I am staring at your face. What is it saying, Lord? And where is my place? I am done with damnation and all the scriptures too. But if you will see me, I'll walk with you. 'Cause we hold an unfinished world in our hands, something that's barely begun. And we welcome all to the promised land, and we'll show them in the sun. I hold an unfinished world in my heart, one I've been waiting to see. So I leave the old one to stories and art, and I'll carry through. If I know that you walk with me, walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. All I can do is walk on through. 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 Thank you.
I couldn't sleep the other night, so I challenged myself to write the shortest poem I could about people. I came up with a 17-word version, which I kept whittling until I got it down to 11 words. And then it was 9, and then it was 6. It was a 6-word poem about people. Then I gave that poem a 6-word title for symmetry and for the hell of it. The title is What People Think of Each Other. And the 6 words of the poem are, why aren't you more like me? Which is cynical, I know. I don't mean it that way, though. It's just, it was the middle of the night, and I was trying to find words that accompany the lonely, low hum of what life feels like on your nerve endings. Gavin was one of the only people I ever met who didn't live a why aren't you more like me life. He had no trace of that, none at all. The question for Gavin was not why aren't you more like me, but instead, who are you? He was the most authentically curious person, and his curiosity was loud. I mean that literally. Gavin was loud. In public, at times, if I'm honest, he was ever so slightly too loud. But what I would give for that volume now and the unapologetic example it gave me. His "Who Are You Though" was quiet, it was gentle, and he made space for your response. He cleared chairs for you. He didn't care how old or young you were. He didn't care how many red carpets you walked. He didn't care who or how you loved. Gavin was available to you, whoever you were. Gavin Creel was devotedly available. And I'm guessing that so many of you here today know this because you knew him, and those of you who knew him know that for him it was always, how can we be more like the most innate and least impressionable version of ourselves, the raised by wolves draft of each of us? He was saying you are like no one else in the world, but that's only true to the extent that you're being yourself, which was a process. It was his life's open rehearsal. And he was a restless rehearser, adventurous and perpetually risk-averse. And above all, Gavin realized that the whole human experiment falls apart unless you make a collection of compassions and astonishments, and you carry them with you tucked into your ribcage, and you use them to breathe.
River rocks are showing.
I was asked to speak today to remember Gavin.
The winter snows all fell.
Susie Meisner was asked to choreograph today to remember Gavin.
The Lover's Creek's not flowing so well. The city clock is tolling in the dimming light, and somehow love was stolen tonight.
3 of Gavin's closest musical collaborators, Madeline Benson, Chris Peters, and Robbie Roth, were asked to play a song of Gavin's today. Yes, they were asked to play a song today of Gavin's to remember him. It's called Unspoken Heart. The 5 of us were asked to collaborate, and we asked some friends to join us.
All the tunes are hollow, all the songs are through. Even the brown swallow is blue. All the world is waiting, not a sound it seems. It's time to trade these fading dreams. But oh, my heart, my unspoken heart, wants to love, but it's oh so weak. All torn apart, my unspoken heart needs you to see. Will you not remember how I thought you cared? From that first September we shared, but all the ground untraveled gave away to fear, and that's why we unraveled here. Oh, my heart, my unspoken heart, wants to love, but it's oh so weak. All torn apart, my unspoken heart needs you to speak.
In my meditation practice, there's this technique called noting. I'm trying to note when thinking. I am thinking, to bring yourself back to the breath. And when you veer away, which I veer away 16 times a minute, shame has arrived. Shame is here. I am not shaming myself, but that shame has arrived. Fear is arrived. Anxiety. The way that shame wins is if it gets to call me what has arrived. You're embarrassed. You're an embarrassed person. that it gets to name me, the thing that I'm feeling. And another one of the noting things is, oh, I'm feeling. It's okay. Try to get back to the breath. You're feeling again. This is just feeling. And it's for me, it's just that practice. Suffering is a part of life, which connects me instantly to every other being in the world. The only thing I want to do is demystify the distance between you and me. Everyone else experiences suffering, so I am not alone. I am suffering. It is here. And eventually, if you sit with it, if I sit with it, 90 seconds later, I'm breathing. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for an ice cream pop.
All the sky is gray now, no Jupiter, no moon. Hoping any day now comes soon. But all we are is frozen and evermore will be. I wish you would have chosen me. But oh, my heart, my unspoken heart wants to love, but it's so weak. All torn apart, my unspoken heart needs you. I want love, but I'm oh so weak. All torn apart with my unspoken heart. I need you to speak.
Gav. Sarah Bareilles, if your first career doesn't work out, I think you have a place in stand-up comedy. Definitely. Just saying. 30 years ago, something incredible happened to me. A young man of 18 years old walked in the room with a smile that lit up the space. And then he humbly said, "Hi, I'm Gavin Creel." He stopped for a moment, and then he began to sing. I knew in but a phrase I was bearing witness to a talent so rare, so extraordinary. There was an uncanny connection between this voice of spun gold and his beautiful heart. Indeed, there was no doubt this voice, this essence was going to impact our world in a profound way. And here we are. I've often been asked what it was like to know Gavin back then. It was such an easy question to answer. He was our Gav, just younger and a little less experienced, with all the vim and vigor you've heard about already. I felt throughout his college career, and certainly into his life, that Gavin orbited in an elevated space of such joy and creativity and dreams and sadness, kindness, authenticity, and the sense of knowing, far beyond that which my ordinary self could comprehend. It was only after Gavin graduated from college that we became dear and lifelong friends. Friends that texted or talked every day, about everything or nothing. And in his early years post-graduation, he expressed an interest in teaching. He called me one day and he said, "Melbell, I want to come back during the school year and I want to watch you teach lessons and watch your studio class." And I said, "I got one better for you, Gav. How about you come back and you do it?" He said very seriously, he said, "No, Mel, I want to observe and learn." Something he did his entire life was observe and learn and then give of that. He, of course, wanted me to wait a while before he got to observe and learn, before he was up in front, but alas, that was not my method. In the first studio class he visited, of course, the class was a titter because the Gavin Creel was in the room. I got up in front of the class and I said, "I have an amazing surprise for you, everyone. Gavin Creel will now take over studio class." The cheering, and I could have left the room and they would have been so happy. But as I was watching him, he stared at me with those beautiful brown eyes as big as saucers and stood seamlessly flowing in and weaving through that class, that magic Gavin. The magic he possessed in but a moment was extraordinary, as we all knew and know. During that class, I got to witness his first observance of a light bulb moment. Those of you that teach know what those are for sure. It's when a student suddenly is able to put together all the pieces of their puzzle. And in that moment, they're left with possibility, and that light shines from them, emanates from them. He was hooked after that happened. He went on to do many a master class during his career as a performer. He was very sought after. And not even a year ago, I was so privileged to just watch, observe, and learn. He held that room like none other, with joy, with care, with laughter, with confidence, with a reverence to our art form. He gently pushed young people from their comfort zone with a silent blanket that said, "No worries, I got you." He led them to their possibilities, their dreams, not their limitations. He allowed them to embrace and fall in love with their true selves, with their true voice here and here. As I sat there, I was simply mesmerized. And a feeling came over me of the completeness of our circle. First his teacher, then his forever friend, and now his colleague. In one of our conversations long ago, he called up and he said, "Melbell, I've come across 4 statements, and I'm going to say them in front of the mirror every day. I want you to do that too." Does that sound familiar? Yeah. I said, "You got it, Gav. What are they?" He said, "Here they are, Mel. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am enough. I will do my best." I would ask you if you will please join me in repeating those 4 things. It would make him so happy. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am enough. I will do my best. Gavin Creel, you were so beautiful, so powerful, so more than enough. And you did your very best, until the day you left us. I love you and will love you with all of my heart for the rest of my life.
The best thing about meeting young people who want to do acting, singing, dancing, go to Broadway, be performers, is their willingness and their courage. What they discover in that moment is inspiring to me and is inspiring, I hope, to them and to their classmates. So there's this amazing energy that like crackles through the room. And when somebody makes it, oh wow, I did that, or oh, I didn't know I could hit that note, or I just think that's the goods. That's what I'm lucky to be able to do for a living. And I hope that the thing I'm able to leave them with is possibility, for them to feel more empowered, and that I'm demystifying this thing that seems magical and untouchable. I was just talking to some of the students, and they're just so hungry and so wanting to get it right and so hard on themselves. And I think we all are in every profession, and especially this, when you're putting yourself out in front of people, and it's vulnerable. And I hope that when they come to the class, they leave feeling a little more possible and a little more powerful.
Really excited about this. This is sick. Imagine a day from the moment you wake up, it's total perfection. The smell of pancakes and bacon cooking in the kitchen, the sound of laughter, but not ordinary laughter, hysterical, grab your sides, wheezing laughter. And the only rule is that the word no cannot be spoken. It is Yes Day, an annual tradition started by Uncle Gavin, our chosen family. For one day every year, anywhere we wished to go, anything we wanted to do, anything, the answer from Gavin was yes. The water park, the movies, the mall, the arcade, Gavin's lake house, yes. It was a tradition that we look forward to every single year. It was better than Christmas and your birthday combined. Uncle Gavin was Santa Claus in outpouring generosity, and Peter Pan in abundant silliness and energy. He was simply the best. My name is Gus Peterson. This is my twin brother Charlie and my sister Beatrice. Our mom, Catherine Brunell, was one of Gavin's best friends, and through her nearly 3 decades of friendship with Gavin, our family became the beneficiaries of the greatest chosen family member and uncle. Gavin was present on the days of our births, bringing all his zany energy and positivity. He possessed an ability to add light, color, passion, and humor to every single day. And on this day, as we honor Gavin's great contributions to the world, we are humbled to be 3 representatives of the many, many children whose lives were made better by meeting Gavin Creel. Ever since I was a little boy, Gavin and I would geek out about technology. Apple products, self-driving cars, game consoles, you name it. He always had the latest cool thing. I'll never forget the moment he showed me his first iPhone. While the phone obviously amazed me, this moment was really about our shared passion for innovation, engineering, and discovery. And he listened to me. He let me describe every spec and feature of that phone. And even if I rambled on, which I definitely did, Gavin never gave me the sense that he was tired of listening. And for 19 years, this was a crucial part of our bond. 2 people laughing and talking and geeking out about technology. But the passions that the 2 of us shared didn't just end there. Music was at the center of his life. About 3 years ago, Gavin came to our house, sat at our piano, and played an excerpt from his show, Walk On Through. It was genius. And then, in his typical humble style, he turned his attention to me. Gavin wanted to listen to what I was learning on the piano. Before I knew it, the room was filled with Vienna by Billy Joel, Imagine by John Lennon, and tons of singing and laughter and joy. Gavin had a knack for listening and truly making me feel heard. He brought this kindness and this care into every interaction we had, and I'm going to cherish these moments for the rest of my life. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with making the perfect chocolate chip cookie. I was always working on a new recipe. Some of my best memories with Gavin are just us goofing off in the kitchen, baking cookies, and cracking up over the stupidest things. Of course, I'd burn the cookies, undercook them, and oversalt them. It didn't matter. Gavin was there, with a smile on his face, dance steps at the ready, and a joke in his back pocket, eating up whatever messed up cookie I gave him. That same spirit of joyous support was evident on the day I became an Eagle Scout, which is a big deal for me, and Gavin knew it. When I arrived to set up for the ceremony, I was a wreck with nervousness. I built up to that moment for nearly a decade and didn't quite know how it would go. And wouldn't you know it, there was Gavin, 2.5 hours early, to set up tables with us and make sure everything was perfect. Gavin didn't have to do things like that, go the extra mile. But that was how he showed his love. He showed up. Little did he know that weeks earlier, I had chosen to present him with my Eagle Scout mentor pin, awarded to a person who has been a constant pillar of support throughout my entire life. It was a really special moment. And I'll forever cherish the words Gavin said to me afterward. He said, "Gus, no Tony Award or Olivier comes close to the honor of receiving this pin."
Uncle Gavin, Uncle Gavin loved Pixar. Whenever a new Pixar movie was released, Gavin was urgent to see it and talk to me and my brothers about it. Every movie was a hit for us. The Toy Stories, Inside Out, Monsters, Inc., but Gavin's most favorite movie was WALL-E. By a show of hands, who has seen the movie WALL-E? Wow. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the movie, it's about a robot who, alone, cleans up Earth after it had been destroyed. It's a film about our responsibility to care for our planet and to have our life filled with genuine connection. Gavin was WALL-E. Like WALL-E, Gavin was curious and compassionate. He found unique beauty in the ordinary. His goal in life was to make meaningful connections with the world around him. Gavin was always considerate. He always was inclusive. He was always connected. He was always there. Gavin always took part in my life, whether it was playing board games with me, asking me about my school plays, guitar lessons, my artwork, or even just by laughing on a FaceTime call. Gavin lit up my life. The song "It Only Takes a Moment" from Hello Dolly was used in the movie WALL-E. That specific song has grown on me, and it made me realize how much of a theme it was in Gavin's life. Gavin took ordinary, everyday experiences and turned them into masterpieces. Every moment with Gavin was spontaneous and fun. Every moment with Gavin felt complete.
So the question remains, how do we move forward in a world without Gavin? A person that we have known our entire lives. How do we ever find peace in our hearts with the impossible loss of him? Perhaps the answer is we don't. We say yes to the pain because we've loved him so deeply. We say yes to the tears because we've laughed with him heartily. And we say yes to the hope in how Gavin lived, making moments into masterpieces. And somehow, some way take that into our own lives. Like Gavin, we can geek out about the things we're passionate about. We can ask ourselves, how can I serve and bring joy to others?
We can get excited for every new Pixar movie release and make plans to see it with someone we love.
And maybe, just maybe, once a year, in honor of Gavin, we can start the day off with pancakes and bacon and create a yes day for someone we love. We love you forever, Uncle Gavin, and we will never forget you.
Hey, everybody. Please welcome Philippa Sue, Shoshana Bean, Ryan Vasquez. My name is Joshua Henry. And we're going to share with you two of Gavin's favorite songs. Is that all right?
Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn.
Where dreams are born and time is never planned. It's not on any chart. You must find it with your heart. Never, never land. It might be miles beyond the moon, or right there where you stand.
Thank you all so much.
I think Oscar Wilde said, "Where there is sorrow, there is holy ground." Oh, I'm so happy there's a baby here. Legitimately. And I think there are a few people whose names I just have to say out loud who did particular tending to this holy ground. Mark Platt, David Stone, Tom Schumacher, Jordan Roth, ATG. We would not be here without them. Okay.
It is 2022, and I'm in an elevator heading up to Gavin's apartment on 104th Street. I'm feeling full and excited and eager to try and explain to him all of the things that I just learned in this 4-week training to become an end-of-life doula. He opens the door and wraps his arms around me. "Tell me everything," he says. And for the next 3 hours, we lie on his couch and talk about dying. I tell him the first thing that surprised me about the training was that I expected to go in and learn how to take care of people and their families who are facing death. But it turned out almost the entire training centered around us meditating on our own mortality. I tell him that on the first day we were asked to imagine that we'd just been given a terminal diagnosis and that we only had 3 months to live. As the training went on, we were asked to think about our legacy, how we wanted to be remembered, what we had accomplished, both personally and professionally. Next, they asked us to think about rugs, regrets, unfinished business, guilt, or shame, and how that often came up at the end of life. Were there any loose ends that we needed to tie up? After that, the training went into the dying process, the stages of dying, where we wanted to die, who we wanted to be there, sitting vigil. And then the last week was spent thinking about how the people that we loved could continue to embody or carry on our legacy after they were gone. Do you think that some of this would have helped you with your mom? Gavin asks. And suddenly, I am in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's 1998, my sophomore year of college. My mom has just been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, which feels terrible. But also, I have an audition for the spring musical, and I have no idea what I'm going to sing. The musical theater department has chosen West Side Story, and everyone knows that they picked it so that Gavin Creel, who is in the last semester of his senior year, can play Tony. I'm in the class 2 years below him, and me and my classmates spend a lot of time trying to imagine who will play Maria and Riff opposite him. And then one Monday at a department lab at the beginning of the semester, Gavin announces to the room that he will be directing a student production of Pippin, and he wants all of us to audition. How is he gonna play Tony and direct Pippin, I wonder? The answer is he won't. It turns out he doesn't really care about playing Tony in West Side Story. He wants to make something. He casts me in the role of Catherine, and it's the first time that I've been taken seriously since I got to Michigan. On the first day of rehearsal, he asks us to stand in a circle, his long arms outstretched, and he turns to us and says, "We are gonna make something great, something special, and it's gonna be sexy and bold and unafraid, and I don't know what I'm doing, so you have to have a little bit of patience with me, but I promise when this is over, we will have made something amazing." I feel energized, like I'm in a cult. He has us strut around the room to Madonna's Ray of Light, leading the way, confident, goofy, free. And as we follow him, we start to move out of our heads and into our bodies. In the next few weeks of rehearsal, he is full of ideas and inspiration. And the night before tech, he tells me that he's completely led me astray and that I should play Catherine like a human being, not a cartoon. The cult follower in me says, no problem. I would follow him to the ends of the earth. After I graduate, Gavin tells me that his roommate is leaving New York City and asks if I want to move in with him on the Lower East Side. There are 2 bedrooms, a shower in the kitchen, only 1 toilet, and it's in his bedroom, but he has a loft, so he won't hear me pee. It's perfect. In the apartment, we listen to Katie Lang, Bjork, and Joni Mitchell. We go out for breakfast around the corner at Café Jeton. We do an exercise regime called Body for Life. You know. He buys a black portable file box where he puts important documents and shows me how to organize my life like an adult. We string popcorn and cranberries on our tiny Charlie Brown Christmas tree that we buy at the bodega down the street. We spray paint the shower room silver and almost pass out from the fumes. We celebrate Fall Day, where we bake cookies and cobblers and walk outside and yell that this is the best season. And one year after we've been living together, my mom dies. and we lie in a loft in his loft bed, and I tell him that I'm scared, that she's gone, dust, to which he says, "No way, she's everywhere." "I don't believe that," I reply. "Well," he says, "I believe it enough for both of us." Gavin falls in love and moves out of our Lower East Side apartment and into a new space with his boyfriend. And when they break up, he moves to 45th Street, where I spend so many nights on the purple couch at his new place. He cries and cries and tells me he doesn't think anyone will ever love him like that again. We talk about the kind of love that we're looking for, how we want to feel the way we do when we're together, comfortable, honest, ourselves. And one night as we're lying in the dark, he says to me, "Seals, I can't stop thinking about boys. Their butts, their torsos." I tell him I can't stop thinking about my boyfriend, who I think I need to break up with. And he sits up straight in bed and says, "Are you ready to have this conversation? Because I have thoughts." He moves to London to play Bert in Mary Poppins and convinces me to come and stay with him for 6 weeks since I've just finished a job and he has a lot of vacation days. "We are young. We have to do this." He says it over and over again. We take a long weekend to the town of Bath, where we swim in thermal pools and watch a family hold their disabled daughter in the water and help her float. We follow their lead and, like two little otters, hold hands and float on our backs, staring up at a perfect sky. "Can you believe our life?" he asks. I cannot. He plans a trip for us to go to Florence and then Tuscany, and on the winding roads of the countryside, I make him stop the car so that I can pick an olive off of a tree and pop it into my mouth, only to find out that olives right off the tree taste like burning acid in my throat, which makes us laugh so hard we almost drive into traffic. At the villa where we're staying, we take turns filling the clawfoot tub with bubbles, and while one of us gets in the tub and relaxes, the other reads chapters aloud of a book about relationships so that we won't miss it when great love comes our way. For the last leg of the trip, we go to Paris and ride Vélib bikes all over the city and get lost and found over and over again. The year we tour Europe is the same year that I meet my husband, John. It's clear to Gavin pretty quickly that John is the one. And over time, I watch these two men I love make space for one another and try to understand the strange boundaries of intimacy. Recently, my son William asked if I ever had a crush on Gavin. Take a number. I love this question because it made me realize that this love that he was witnessing between his mom and her gay best friend looked so big and so singular that the only category he could put it into was romantic love. I told William that while I never had a crush on Gavin, I swear to God, I really didn't. I did love him, and how everyone should have a friend where they can put everything on the table, their ugliest, most petty, small selves, and also their most proud, egocentric, un-Midwestern selves. In 2015, when William is born, I watch Gavin step into a whole new role and build a relationship with my child that exists completely separate from me. He works hard to understand my exhaustion and discomfort in the early years of motherhood when I feel so lost and inadequate. He mothers me as I become a mother. Your mom would be so proud of you, Seals. And then it is 2020. I'm burnt out from finishing a year run of a show. He's just gone through a massive heartbreak, and we're isolated from the world for months and months. During this time, we hike. We hike around the lake at his house upstate. We hike all over Kingston and Woodstock and talk a lot about getting older. He's having a hard time with it, aging. We talk about our incessant people-pleasing and the mean way we talk to our bodies, about our fears of disappointing people, about the racial reckoning our country's experiencing, about his heartbreak and how sad he feels day after day, and why is he having such a hard time moving on. We have sleepovers, grown-up sleepovers with Sarah, where we sit and cry on the couch and wonder how we're ever going to get through this, and then we wake up in the morning and face the day. And on the days when we aren't together at 9 p.m., we get on a FaceTime and check in. I am never in closer contact with Gavin than I am during the pandemic. How could I have possibly known that that impossible time would turn out to be one of the greatest gifts of my life? And now it is July 2024, and I'm sitting in a hospital bed at Memorial Sloan Kettering, rubbing Gavin's feet. I am trying to be both his end-of-life doula and his best friend. I think about my training and the attention that we focused on legacy, and I ask him what he feels the most proud of. He talks about his love for his family, Jim, Nancy, Allison, Heather, and Jen. He reflects on his amazing friendships. He says he can imagine leaving performing and teaching for the rest of his life. He is so proud of Walk On Through that was produced at MCC earlier this year and wants it to have a life after he's gone. He is so brave amidst so much pain. And he's also scared and anxious and tired. I start to ask him about rugs, but before I get the words out, he gets quiet and closes his eyes. Seals. I have no regrets. I did everything I wanted to do. It was a pretty amazing life. I just wish I had more time. And now it is today, December 2nd, 2024. And I'm here with all of you in this glorious, complicated hellscape of a country, surrounded by one another in a theater, with our grief and our love to connect us. And we have that thing that he wanted, more time. What are we gonna do with it? I can't stop thinking about this. The last phase of my training. How are we going to honor his legacy? In the last 4 years of his life, Gavin spent an enormous amount of energy interrogating old patterns of behavior and trying to understand himself better. It was something to behold. And I think about all of the ways that he was looking to grow if he had had more time. Above everything, he was trying to cultivate greater self-compassion. And I wonder, in honoring him, what it looks like for all of us to do that too. And I'm not talking about accomplishing more or looking to the external world to see how they value us. He was doing interior work, morning pages in his journal every day, meditating, looking in the mirror with genuine warmth and telling himself, "You look great." There is this ancient Hawaiian practice that Gavin's hospice nurse, Bianca, reminded me of while he was dying. It's simple, and it's meant to improve our relationship to ourselves and remind us that we're all connected. It goes like this: I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I said this over and over to myself and to him in the last days of his life, sitting vigil next to his bed. And I think we should say it too. Is that weird? It might be, but just close your eyes and say it to yourself. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. What if we love ourselves with the magnitude that Gavin Creel loved the world? Recently, when I've been feeling sad, I use his voice to talk to myself and remind myself that I'm worthy of love. Every single one of us here is worthy of love. And if we want to honor Gavin, I think that we can work to believe that. There will probably be some days when we won't believe it, but on those days, we can just summon him in the parts of ourselves where he still lives, or we can look at the way that the sun casts its light on the building or the shape of the moon, because he is everywhere, and I believe that enough for all of us.
Is it warm? Is it soft against your face? Do you feel a kind of grace inside the breeze? Will there be trees? Is there light? Does it hover on the ground? Does it shine from all around, or just from you? Is it endless and empty, and you wander on your own? Slowly forget about the folks that you have known. Or does rising bread fill up the air from open kitchens everywhere? Familiar faces, far as you can see, like a family. Do we live? Is it like a little town? Do we get to look back down on who we love? Are we above? Are we everywhere? Are we anywhere at all? Do we hear a trumpet call us and we're by your side? Will I want, will I wish for all the things I should have done? Longing to finish what I only just begun? Or has a shining truth been waiting there for all the questions everywhere? In a world of wondering, suddenly you know, and you will always know. Will my mama be there waiting for me, smiling like the way she does, and holding out her arms as she calls my name? She will hold me just the same. Only heaven knows how glory goes, what each of us was meant to be. In our starlight, that is what we are. I can see so
Ooh, this isn't fair. Thank you so much, Kelly. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, thank you. Yes. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Alex. I'm Gavin's partner and Nina's other dad. I've said this before to a few of you, but when it comes to Gavin's circle of people, I'm fairly new to the party. And I must say, especially given the sheer beauty that this evening has been so far and will continue to be, what a party it is. When Gavin and I met, everybody around us seemed to know that our relationship was something more significant before we did. Once we decided to dive fully into those feelings, which did take a second, we admitted that we both felt we were kidding ourselves for months. And only then did we realize what we had found. I can confidently speak for the both of us when I say falling in love with each other was one of the easiest things either of us ever did. Now, after our albeit short but absolutely surreal time together, putting our relationship into words feels damn near impossible, but I'm going to do my best. Now, I'm not one to brag, but if you missed us together, you really missed out. We were ready for a life together. He hated filling up the ice cube trays, so I would do that. And I hated typing in the emails and passwords on the streaming devices, so he would do that. And it was very clear very quickly that we worked well together, and we spoke a lot of the same language. In short, we found home in each other. We shared a love for cooking, baking, and hosting gatherings. Gav could whip around a kitchen like no one you've ever seen, whether he knew what he was doing or not. And we were always excited to share new food and drink with each other and/or loved ones who would come to the house. In our spare mornings, we spent a good deal of time developing dishes for a restaurant we dreamt of opening one day called Breakfast for Dinner, otherwise known as BFD. In our daydreaming of what life could someday be, Gav said he wanted to work at a diner, but he hated waking up early, so that wouldn't work out. We came up with the concept of a dinner joint that opened at 4 p.m. and only served elevated breakfast cuisine, but also served as a bakery / coffee shop / bookstore during the day. And of course, there had to be a stage in the corner because there needed to be a performance space somewhere on the vicinity. A very sensible, streamlined business endeavor for two homosexuals with music and theater degrees. No problem whatsoever. Gav loved surprises, and his spontaneity was both admirable and at times a little jarring. Earlier this year, he made it very clear that he was getting puppy fever. He rummaged through the storage unit and found Wally's old crate and bowls and toys, and he set them up in the apartment just to see how it felt. His words. A short time passed, and then one day in April, he declared that he had set up time with Bill Berloni to visit some possible foster dogs at the Humane Society. Possible foster dogs. Again, his words. So when that Saturday rolled around, I went to see a matinee of a show with a friend, and he went to the Humane Society. At intermission, I looked at my phone, and nothing. Now, knowing Gav's communication style, which a lot of us do, that was already a tad odd. But considering what he was up to, I thought I would at least get some photos or testimonials about the dogs he was meeting, who he liked or didn't like, none of that. So I turned my phone off. The second act came and went, and as I was walking my friend home, I checked my phone again. Still, nothing. So I called him, and he answered immediately. Hi! Hey, honey, how's it going over there? Babe, I did it. Oh, wow, you found one to foster. Nope, I adopted her. Her name's Nina, and she'll be home in about a few hours. Suffice to say, Nina quickly became the light of our lives, an angel in our home, and one of the most beautiful gifts he ever gave me. We are all fortunate to know how Gavin moved through his life. Fast, ultra-caring, and fiercely friendly. He was able to not only see people for their greatest essence, but to make them feel valued in the time they shared with him, whether that was a moment, a weekend, a run of a show, or a lifetime. It was his greatest superpower. When Gavin realized his health was in serious jeopardy, he soon felt it necessary to alter the way he moved through the world, literally and figuratively. His spiritual journey guided him inward, a process he had long started before I knew him, but was never a comfortable one for him. Because his journey with illness came with 0 wins, Gavin struggled and eventually made peace with a gargantuan amount of radical acceptance. An acceptance that some of us, most of us, may never even come in contact with. His talent was one thing, his personality and vivaciousness another. But in those weeks where our world became very small and quiet, I witnessed a fortitude of spirit in that man unlike anything I have ever witnessed in my life. A few Sundays before he passed, we were settling into a quiet morning, not unlike the ones we used to share before he was diagnosed. By that time, he had chosen the specific peace that hospice offered. I got him comfortable on the couch, sat myself on the floor next to Nina, my back against the sofa, and began flipping through shows we needed to catch up on. We hadn't watched much TV, if you can imagine. Then I felt a hand softly make contact with my shoulder, a feather. I felt a hand fall softly on my shoulder. So I turned quickly, thinking he might need me or be in pain. "You okay, babe?" I asked. But when I turned, I saw the most beautiful, toothy smile I had seen in months. And he replied, "I am so happy right now." The peace and simplicity of that moment will last me a lifetime. Gav, I'm talking directly to you because I know that you're here right now. You are the strongest, bravest person I have ever met. I will continue falling in love with you every day for the rest of my life. And I promise you, I'm not going to miss any of it. I love you forever. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It feels like we are about to give away an award. And the award for most flatulent friend goes to... I mean, we've been here the whole time and no one has mentioned Gavin's farts. So if we're going to honor him, and let's be honest, he farted on stage a lot and it was terrifying. Just a testament to how comfortable he was with everyone.
That's right.
Gav was such a force of nature. He literally changed the world, and he did it through every one of you from his performances, and he did it through us. And we're going to talk about those different levels of how he literally changed this world.
He had a passion for art and music, but it was matched with his passion for activism. A longtime advocate and supporter of Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, and the Entertainment Fund, he was constantly looking for ways to help the community.
Being a part of the show Hair kind of lit a fire in Gavin, and he'd say, "You can't do this show and not believe it and walk the walk."
He was very bossy.
He'd say, "No, it's true, we are all one." And with the passage of Proposition 8 in California, which was outlawing gay marriage at the time, Gavin, together with his good friends Rory O'Malley and Jenny Canellos, formed Broadway Impact to help fight for marriage equality. Yeah. During the run of Hair, when Gav heard about an anti-gay rally happening in New York, he was like, absolutely not. Absolutely, we're gonna do a counter-protest. We're gonna call all of our friends. So he called up Audra and Cynthia Nixon, and they said yes. And then a lot of other Broadway folks got on board, and suddenly we had this rally. And then the mayor called and asked if he could speak, and then the governor called and asked if he could speak, and suddenly we had this gigantic, beautiful rally for marriage equality.
He led dozens of buses full of Broadway Impact members to Washington, to the March on Washington, and it included the entire cast of Hair on Broadway, which went dark for the day after Gavin took this idea to our producers, and they graciously agreed. He wrote in an email to me at that time that I found last night, "This is what I have dreamt of since I decided to try to become an artist, to be part of something that truly matters and makes great change."
Then in 2011, when the courts wouldn't air a video feed of the Prop 8 court case, again, Gav was like, absolutely not. People need to hear this, let us get the transcripts, and we will dramatize this thing, and we will take it to the people. Which is exactly what he did. They recruited Dustin Lance Black, who wrote a beautiful screenplay of the play 8. They took it all over the country. Gavin himself traveled to possibly every state, but the play was performed over 500 times, produced by Broadway Impact, and performed in all 50 states. He was genuinely one of the main driving forces in passing marriage equality in this country. Yeah, I'll talk, okay.
Yeah, you go.
He just changed us all. Anyone that came in contact with him, I'm talking about the stage door. If you just met him, he made you feel seen, he made you feel important, and his interest was genuine. On stage, his characters were bursting with joy and authenticity and charm, and it was infectious.
It was.
Oh, that's right, we're gonna do these stories. Quickly, Gavin was such a teacher. One night we were in tech for Hair in London, and we were in between rehearsals and we're tired and we're walking down the street, and Gavin said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There's a bar on a couple of blocks away. Yes, this is, who am I? That's very good. There's a bar a couple of blocks away from here, and it's fantastic, and I'm gonna take you and get something called a shandy. It's half lemonade and it's half beer, and I said, that sounds like a waste of beer to me. And he said, no, someday I'm gonna take you there. And I said, Gav, sometime is now. And he was like, oh my God, that's it, that's it. And of course, in the moment, I was just like, I just wanted a beer. But Gavin, being Gavin, heard something deeper. He heard a mantra, and he clung onto that sometime is now. And for the rest of our relationship, he continued to remind me, no, sometime is now. And he employed it in his life religiously. He was incredibly present. He examined every moment and tried to find a way to make it fuller and deeper, more joyous, more authentic, and more full of light.
That same summer, when we were all in London doing Hair, Gav was processing some very real and deep heartbreak. And he was really leaning on his close friends. And there's a photo from a day off that we spent wandering around Primrose Hill. And there's my tube map. And it inspired a song that he wrote for a couple of us called Kindness. And it was about how, in the depths of his own sadness, Gavin was held and helped by his friends. In the lyrics of the verses, he wrote about how difficult things were for him and how low he was feeling. And the lyrics to the bridge have stayed with me since he passed in a special way. We will change and we will grow, and in this sadness know that love will change and break apart, but kindness heals the heart. And that was the thing about Gavin. He was forever able to zoom out and examine the world and his place in it. He was never about himself. He was always about the community. The chorus to that song went, and I am grateful, I am amazed. grateful for your kindness. He was forever finding gratitude and kindness, even and especially when it was hard or when things seemed hopeless. And that's the most important thing I learned from him, and something I'll carry with me, I know, for the rest of my life, to find the gratitude, to lead with love, and to lift up the people around you. And it's that same magic that he brought to every single audience and to each of us as his friends, as his family, and as the leader of our tribe. So Gavin, I am grateful. I am amazed.
Walking proudly in our winter coats, wearing smells from laboratories, facing a dying nation of moving paper fantasy, listening for the new total lies, with supreme visions and lonely tunes. Somewhere inside something there is a rush of greatness that stands in front of our lives. I fashion my future on films in space. Silence tells me secretly and I know your lessons well. In you lies salvation, the Gospels foretell. Son of the Father, light of the earth. They say if I follow, I'll find my rebirth. But you hold an unfinished world in your hand, and they say thy will is all done. And soon they will go to your promised land, but I'm not a welcome one. They say not you, my son, made in your image. Yes, I am said to be. If this is true, Lord, then you should know me. My heart is holy, and my love is true. For this is the way I was made by you. And you hold an unfinished world in your hand. Within it, I'm trying to grow. And I want to follow and understand, but they tell me I'll never know that only the saved ones can go. Who I am, who I'll always be, who I'm trying to find each day. I'm just a man wading through mystery, flailing toward the light in my own way. Now in this moment, I am staring at your face. What is it saying, Lord? And where is my place? I am done with damnation and all the scriptures too. But if you will see me, I'll walk with you. And we hold an unfinished world in our hands, something that's barely begun. And we welcome all to our promised land, and we show them an endless sun. I hold an unfinished world in my heart, one I've been waiting to see. So I'll leave the old one to stories and art, and I'll carry through. If I know that you walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. All I can do is walk on through. 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 Thank you.